financial self-care. I am happy to be joining you and get on with our conversation. Yesterday, we talked about financial forgiveness. It was a heavy topic, but I think it was a necessary topic. So thank y'all for coming back. For those who are joining me for the very first time, my name is ADHD Money Coach B. I talk about mental health as it relates to your money. I help the 4 times exceptional gifted Black woman with ADHD shift from feeling financially frustrated to feeling financially unfuckwittable. If that is you and you're like, yes, I want to go into this new year with a lot less financial stress, hang out with me. If it's not you and you want to go along the way you've been going along, then feel free to swipe away. But for those of you guys who want to make changes in your finances, stay with me. Do me a favor. Hey, Dora, the Explorer. How you doing, boo? Double tap the screen for me and share the live so that we can get started. Today, we're talking about no spend days. If you have been following me for years, you know this is probably one of the most popular challenges that I do. I do a no spend month in September, but we're not talking about a whole no spend month. I mean, you could be. But if you have been following and are familiar with that month, then this concept won't be completely lost on you. Thank you again. I am going to just give me a second to get the word out to those who I know join these conversations frequently and don't want to miss out. Doo-doo. Give me a quick second to share the live. Da-da. Give me a second to share the live. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for double tapping. We are talking about a no spend day. Thank you. I see you over here on Facebook. I see you over here on TikTok. I see you over here on in my Facebook group as well. We're in here streaming from 3 different places. So if you see me looking back and forth, that's because I'm trying to make sure I am checking in with the comments in both places. Welcome back. It is day 7 of the 12 days of financial self-care. We have talked about, I'm going to try to go through the list of things we talked about. We talked about financial boundaries. We talked about creating a cushion of financial buffer, an amount of savings. We talked about forgiveness. We talked about self-awareness and being present with your spending. We talked about a lot of different topics, and today we are going to be talking about a spending detox. How many of you guys have ever done like a no spend month, no spend week? Thank you for the hearts, appreciate it. How many of you guys have ever done like a no spend challenge before? No spend day, no spend month, no spend week. How many of you guys have ever done that before? You said, yep. You've done one before on and fulfilled? Have you done a no spend before? Happy holiday. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for double tapping. I appreciate it. So before we jump in, let's talk about why this matters, right? Well, first of all, what we're doing is we're doing the detox of your spending habits. It's not just to tell you like to restrict you or to make you feel like you can't have. What we're really trying to do is a detox of your spending habits. Have you guys ever done like a food detox before? Like just groceries, $40 a week at Aldi. Okay. Have you ever done like a food detox before where you like fast for so many days or you eat clean for so many days? You notice how like when you change, like you drink a lot of water and you change what you're eating and you detox from other foods, like your taste buds change, like you literally don't crave the same things. I know when I start drinking a lot more water or start eating salads, I just don't crave as much sweet and sugary foods. It's like something resets in your palate and you don't even crave those other things quite as much. The same thing happens with your spending. We're often on autopilot and we're moving so fast and we're spending money and we're not really thinking about it. And we want to change our behavior, but we need to kind of like pause to recalibrate and reset, right? And purge a lot of the habits. And no spend days gives you an opportunity for you to get back on track and pay attention to what you're doing. Thank you so much for the double taps. I appreciate the hearts. That helps out. Thank you so much. Helps the algorithm bring more people who need to hear about this to the conversation. So thank you. Imagine having Christmas money this year already set aside, that you're not going into debt for it. You're not risking utilities for it. You're not pulling money from an account that you know was important for some other expense for it, right? Imagine having it. Imagine your month ahead fund growing. If you were here when I talked about that peace of mind fund cushion, that month ahead fund is critical to building financial stability for you, right? First, in the 5 financial frustrations, I don't have all 5 of them listed up here, but the first one we work on is getting you out of the hole, and the second one is getting you a month ahead on your bills, right? Imagine that that's growing and you're almost a month ahead on all your bills. Thank you, Honor Fulfilled. I appreciate the love. I see you in here. Imagine having peace when you spend. Some of y'all are swiping, but you have no peace about it. You're stressed, you're anxious, you're feeling guilt and shame. You feel like you're being irresponsible. You can't even enjoy what you bought because there's so many emotions attached to the transactions. You said we spend money nonstop, electricity, gas, rent, mortgages. You can never stop spending. Right. Yeah. So when I talk about no spend, guys, just for clarity, I'm glad you said that. Let me read the comments so that Facebook can hear it too. We spend money nonstop, electricity, gas, rent, mortgage. You can never stop spending. When I'm talking about a no spend, I'm not talking about don't pay your bills. Please pay your bills. Don't y'all get evicted talking about I told y'all not to spend. That's not what I meant. Okay. Pay your bills. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about a no spend. Okay. I'm talking about spending on those variable expenses that are truly optional. Yes, you do have to eat every day, but do you have to eat out? Do you even have to grocery shop? Probably not. If you guys have been following me, you know I do No Spend September. I tend to post a lot of like the videos of behind the scenes of like me cooking and recipes I made, just so guys you can have context, because sometimes it seems like it's harder than it is. And every year I've gotten better. It wasn't easy at first because you don't know how to prepare for a no spend month. You don't know how to communicate with other people what you're doing. But over the years, I've gotten better at it, and I've shared the No Spend September month with you guys so you guys can participate. And every year, more people join the challenge. Alexa, that's way too loud. Sorry, my Alexa always be turning up the volume. She's mad rude. But anyway, what I usually do is I cook what I have in my house. I always have food that I have here that I keep saying I'm a cook, but I never get around to cooking it. And during no spend month, it gives me an opportunity to actually use that food, to actually cook the food that I have in my house, at least to get it out the house, if nothing else, to be like, finally stop looking at it in the freezer or in the pantry, lying to myself, pretending. So during no spend month, it gives me an opportunity to like try my best to use everything I have in my house before going to the grocery store. And it doesn't mean that you don't go grocery shopping at all the entire month. I usually, like this year I didn't. I usually do a pretty good job of it. But in the past, I probably had to go to the grocery store 2 times during a month, and it was to re-up on produce. Now I understand how to prep some of my produce in advance. Plus I have a patio garden, so I don't need to go for quite as much. But there are ways for you to be able to do this challenge and still eat and not feel like you're missing out on meals. And believe me, I had bougie meals. I don't know if you can go back in my feed. I had crabs one day. I bought the crabs in advance, but I held them in the freezer for a day where I felt like I needed a bougie meal. I didn't want to feel like I was eating ramen every night. I wasn't eating ramen every night anyway, but I wanted to feel like I was having a bougie meal. And I intentionally bought something before the challenge started on sale. I bought the crab legs on sale and made myself a really nice, pretentious meal. Okay. So when I tell y'all doing no spend, I'm not telling y'all to struggle. I'm not telling y'all to struggle. I am telling you guys to intentionally pause. So these intentional pauses, and what I want you to do, just do me a favor and like drop a heart if you're tired of stressing during the holidays. Drop a heart in the comments for me if you are tired of stressing during the holidays. Drop a heart if you're tired of stressing during the holidays. Thank you for the heart. I see you. So first of all, let me give you some options of the types of rest that you can give yourself. So there's a couple different ways you can do a no spend. You can do a no spend day. These are for the people who are like new to it, and it would be best for somebody who is already used to spending every day. They swipe in their card every day, they eating out for lunch every day, they stopping for coffee every day, every day they are swiping their card for something. I would start you guys off with at least a no spend day. Now, if you don't have a habit of spending every day anyway, a no spend day might not be effective for you, because that could be any given Wednesday, right? So for you, I would recommend doing a no spend week, where you're like, I don't spend every day, but I definitely spend a couple times a week, because you want to be able to see some sort of impact of your decision. If you don't spend every day, a no spend day is not going to mean anything to you, because that could be, like I said, you probably do that twice during the week anyway. But if you spend like a couple times a week, a no spend week will be effective. Okay. Now, if you feel like, honestly, I can go a whole week without spending because I work from home and I don't ever leave the house, but I ain't gonna go a whole month. And when I go out, I'm probably spend some money. I'm probably spend some money. Then a no spend month would be more effective for you. Now, even if you only are starting with a no spend day, I encourage you to slowly work yourself up to doing a no spend week. Eventually get yourself to a no spend month. I have yet to get myself to a no spend year. And keep in mind, a no spend year does not look like not paying your bills, right? The no spend year is a lot of intentionality behind it. But no spend week, no spend day, no spend month is what I could say you guys could start with. Here's the beauty of a no spend month. Like, if you're used to spending extra $400 a week on random stuff throughout the month, right? And that could look like going to the grocery store extra times. Like, you go to the grocery store, you buy your food, you come home, you realize you're missing something, so you go back to the grocery store. And every time you go in the grocery store, it's a trap. You're gonna come in there with something, you're gonna come out with something you didn't come for. So multiple trips to the store cause you to spend extra money. So a no spend challenge would look like going, yeah, no, I'm not going back. I'm gonna have to remix my recipe and make it work. So during a no spend month, for example, for me, I do my last grocery trip the night before the month of September begins, or whatever month you're doing the challenge. So whatever I forgot. And what that has done for me is it's forced me to be more creative as a cook. Like, I've come out with amazing recipes because I had to be creative with the ingredients. And sometimes the new ingredients was better than what it was supposed to be included in there. If you have to go to the store saying, I'm only getting what I came for no matter what. So yes, you went to the store and you bought, but you still bought only exactly what you needed, absolutely no extra if you go. So the way this would look like is, if you're used to spending an extra $400 a month between eating out and overspending at the grocery store, buying stuff you didn't really need, and you're used to spending like 4 days a week every single week, and you go from spending 4 days a week to going shopping only 4 times the entire month, you probably saved a lot of money. So no, you didn't go all 30 days, but if you went from shopping 25 days out of the month to shopping 4 days out of the month, you probably made a significant difference in how much you have left over, right? So you have money saved, money that you would have otherwise spent in these stores. So that's how this works, is you're not striving for perfection. Ideally, you can get through a whole day, month, week, whatever your commitment level was, but you're striving to be better than you normally are, better than last time. So if you're trying to do this on a weekly basis, I have a client who I had do a no spend month. Once she was done with the month, she was like, you know what? I think I want to try to do a no spend week every single month, just as like an opportunity to like catch myself before I go back into this habit of spending and save money. So every single month she does a no spend week, and every month she gets a little bit better. So the first week it didn't go perfectly well, but she's figured out like, oh man, these are my spending temptations. These are my spending triggers. And now she can put some things into place to help avoid those temptations and to help understand her triggers. So I'm going to give you an example of a spending trigger. If you know that anytime you're on or anytime you talk to your friend, or anytime you're bored, for example, or the boredom is a good one. Anytime you're bored, you casually just like to stroll through stores. Like, I feel like nobody strolls through stores anymore anyway. But like for me, it used to be when I was bored, I used to love going thrifting. And I used to be like, it's just a thrift store. if I buy anything, it's not a lot of money anyway. La, 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 la. And I would be in a thrift store, right? Because I was bored. I had nothing to do. I moved to Virginia, didn't really have any friends at the time. And when I finally had somebody to watch my daughter, I was like, I'm not going to stay in the house. So I'm going to do something with my bored day. So I would go to the thrift store and I would be buying all kinds of random things. And it was a waste of money. Like it was a waste of money. It doesn't really matter if it's practically nothing. If you don't need it, I've wasted money, right? And I realized my trigger was boredom. When I was bored, I felt like I needed to go do something, and that was my thing to do. Once I was aware that that's what was happening, I could start to think like, okay, girl, you need hobbies, friends, something, right? Because this ain't it, right? But I wouldn't have noticed if I didn't do a no spend month and get into that month. And when I was bored, I couldn't go. Right. I got to feel like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. What is this? Why am I feeling like that today? Like, why is this so hard? Right. Or I had a client, whenever she would talk to her ex and he would piss her off, she would just go out and be like, you know what? I'm going to get a manicure. I'm going to get all this stuff done. Like she would go like splurge on a bunch of like cosmetics and things to look good because she felt angry and she's pissed off, and she was going buy her way into peace again because she was frustrated, right? So her trigger was that man. Whenever he would rile her up and she would get angry, that's how she would handle her anger, was shopping, right? And we had to give her a new thing to do with that anger. So I talked to her about angry saving. Anytime he pissed you off, wish I would depend on you for something else. Wish I would put the money in the savings account. Every time he piss you off, put a penny in the bank. I don't really care. Find some way to deal with that emotion. Okay. So, but you have to be aware that it's happening. So a no spend month gives you an opportunity to experience the pain of saying, I'm not going to do this right now. And to really look and sit with it and like, why do I feel this way? Here's another reason why I like a no spend month. Thank you for the hearts. Here's another reason why I like a no spend month is it gives you an opportunity not just to reset your own spending habits, but to reset other people's expectations of you. Sometimes people they can't wait to spend your money. They can't, they're constantly like, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do that? Hey, can you? Hey, can you? Hey, can you? Right? And you struggle to say no. You struggle to set boundaries. You're afraid that if I tell you no, you're going to assume that maybe something's wrong with my finances, and you're afraid of them judging you or thinking that you're falling off in some way. So instead of saying, no, you just do it, even if it's financial self-sabotage, right? Doing a no spend challenge is a very non-threatening way to tell your friends that you're not buying something without them having any clue that you're having financial hardship. And keep in mind, you don't have to be doing this challenge because you're having financial hardship. I just want you to understand that, right? I have clients who have $500,000 portfolios who do the challenge. Okay. So you don't have to be struggling to want to do a no spend challenge. But for those who are and are struggling to find a way to tell their friends, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that, a no spend challenge is a very non-threatening way. It would be like, oh man, it's no spend September. It's no spend week for me. And they know. So it allows you to be able to communicate that, first of all, you have a financial goal. It gives them an opportunity to support you, for you to see if they actually support you. Do they actually care that you have financial goals? Because if I communicate to you that this is a goal I have and you're constantly trying to pull me away from my goals, I'm giving you a side eye. Because why? You ain't hear me? Right? So those who know me and know me well know I do no spend September every September. And in September, they already expect, if your birthday is that month, I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry, I'm not going all above and beyond. Now, I might set some money aside in the previous months because I do, right? So that I can participate in something, but I'm not going crazy. And y'all already know that, right? In September, people often are treating me to things like, I know it's no spend September, so I wanted to treat you to some coffee because I really wanted to have, talk business with you, whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow, thank you. People treat me. I've had people send me gift cards during September because they know that this is something I participate in and they want to support me. And it's always a surprise to me when it happens, but it does tell me, man, that first of all, they're paying attention that I'm doing this and that they really care about me, that they weren't going to just try to pull me out of my goals. Like, I really value them so much more for not making me feel bad or making me feel like I'm not a good friend if I don't show up for them, because my goals are important too. So a no spend challenge gives you an opportunity to communicate with your loved ones that you have goals, that this is something you're trying to do. It gives you an opportunity to reset the expectations. And it kind of sets the tone for future things, that if they're not used to you having financial boundaries, that this is kind of like a baby step in them saying, yeah, I'm working on something. Okay. Right. Because we're not working on our finances because we're broke. We're working on them because we have goals. Even if we are broke, we're working on them because we have goals. This ain't about struggle. This is about progress. Okay. So those are guys who've been listening so far, how many days do you think you want to try for a no spend? Do you think you can commit to one day? Do you want to try to push yourself and go for 7 days, do a whole week? Or do you want to go a whole 30 days? And if you want to go a whole 30 days, you guys can download my No Spend September Challenge Kit. It's free. It's normally inside of my Money Challenge budgeting workbook. It's one of the challenges that are in here. But if you go on to youngrichruder.com/no spend, you can download that one challenge, and it has several bingo boards in there. Let me see if I can open up too. Like there's a couple different activities that you can do during that month. It gives you some pre-shopping guides, so that way you have what you need before the month begins. What else did I include in here? I really put a lot in here. It gives you rules that you create for yourself. This is your challenge. You could run the challenge how you want to. My little sister, when she does no spend challenge, she doesn't do a full challenge the way I do it, but she does no spend eating out because she loved DoorDash. So during the month of September, she don't DoorDash, and that's her baby step into doing a no spend challenge. Sorry, I thought I heard something, and I'm home by myself, so that made me nervous. I think it's just rain. It has reflection pages for you to be able to observe how you're feeling. So if you go online, you're able to download some of those pages. Inside the Money Challenge workbook, there's lots of other challenges, but that's just one of them that's inside of here. But if you want to commit to 30 days, I would encourage you doing that. Even if you're only going to push yourself to do one, you could still download the entire kit. You would just kind of need to modify it for yourself for a week. So obviously you wouldn't do every single week, but you could if you were doing like a no spend week over the span of like 4 weeks, 4 different months, you could do it that way. So those are some options for you. For those who wanted the URL again, it's youngrichrootedcom/no spend. Let me just make sure. youngrichrooted.com/no spend. And it's probably also in my bio too. Let me just make sure it's up. Yeah, it's up there. Okay. So yeah, if you just go to the website, put in your name and your email address, it's going to email you the kit that you can download. It's like 4 or 5 pages that you download, and it's completely free. Okay. How many days are y'all doing the challenge for? 1 day, 7 days, 30 days? How many days are you committing to? Okay, so let me set this up for success. I want you to pull out something to write with, okay? First thing I want you to do is I want you to choose your rest period. Start small again if you're new to this. So again, I said if you are used to spending every single day, a 1 day might be a good start for you. But if you already don't spend every single day, then it's not going to be very effective. I want you to start with at least a 1 week no spend challenge. Okay. Pick the days when you're usually home. It's a lot easier to not spend when you're not outside. Y'all know how outside is. Okay. It's very ghetto, very expensive. Plan around your regular commitments and let people know. Plan ahead for those commitments. Because if you've already committed to doing something, you can still participate, but you can budget for it accordingly. Okay. Step 2. Okay. Now that you've chosen your rest period, I want you to create your joy list instead of your shopping list. Okay. Your joy list instead of your shopping list. You're going to use those forgotten items, read those unread books, try those unused supplies, enjoy what you already have. I just had a call with a client earlier today, and she loves she's like she subscribes to this company that sends you like planners and paper stuff. Like she pays like, I don't know, maybe like $60 a month, and they send you stickers and planners or whatever. And I know that she works crazy hours and she never gets to sit down and use any of these planners, and she said it's one of the things that brings her joy, but she never has time for it, right? And so we're looking at the budget and we're working on getting out of the hole. And so we looked at these subscriptions, and I said, let me ask you a question. What, out of the supplies you're getting in the mail every single month, because you're getting them every month, what percentage of the supplies do you think you've had an opportunity to use? And she was like, probably like 20%. Okay, so you got like 80% of more material in the house that you could use that you haven't even gotten to. And then next month, you're going to get another supply of even more that you're just going to be buried in, which is going to make you feel bad because you're not using it, not doing the stuff. What if you just pause your subscription for a little while, no spend, and use what you have? Start using up the tools and supplies you have. Every month can still feel like you got a subscription in the mail because you got all this stuff you haven't even used it. How many of you guys have books that you haven't read yet? Audible credits that's just piling up, that you keep saying, I'm gonna listen to this book, or I'm gonna read this book, or I'm a whatever, and you never get to it, right? I think the other thing that she had was like a perfume subscription where she's getting these perfumes in the mail, barely getting to use any of them. So use this as a time to actually enjoy. This is not about being restrictive, but it's giving you time to actually enjoy the stuff you've already paid for. Society will like make you want the next thing before you've got a chance to like fully enjoy the current thing. You ever bought a car and then like you buy a car, right? You're excited, you love the car, you're so happy about your new car, and then like maybe like 6 months later, a new version of your car comes out. Or iPhone, that's another one. The iPhone, you get an iPhone and you're excited about your phone, and then it felt like 2 months later, a new iPhone came out, and now you like, dang, now you got FOMO. You feeling like you're missing out. You wish you waited a little bit longer, or you want to trade yours in for something else. You don't get very long to enjoy what you bought because society is always pushing the next thing you should want, and we barely get any time to appreciate it. Give yourself space to enjoy what you had prayed for in the past. Like most of the time, the stuff we have, you remember when you prayed for them. You remember when you wish you had the house you have. You remember when you wish you had the car that you have. You remember when you wish you could have, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things that we are taking for granted right now because we want the next thing, completely never really acknowledging the fact of how far we've gotten so far in life. Like, look at us. Like I remember wanting a place of my own where I could paint the walls and I could do whatever I want. And it's tempting for me to want to go out and look at these big beach houses and move to, you know what I mean? Like it's tempting, but girl, sit in this for a little while and be present. And thank God, like you did it. You did your big one. You accomplished this goal. Enjoy the house. Be present in it. There's no reason for you to increase your mortgage payment. You have barely gotten to enjoy this because the moment you get into the next house, you're going to want the next house. The moment you get into the next car, you're going to want to get the next car. The moment you get the next phone, you're going to want to get the next phone. Give yourself some time to enjoy what you have, including the food in your pantry. Okay? All right, so that your joy list is using the forgotten items, reading unread books, using those supplies. The third one is track your triggers when you spend, okay? Track your triggers when you spend. I want you to write down, what time of the day is it? Do you notice that you're more tempted to spend in the morning, at night, at lunchtime, on Sundays, on Tuesdays, when you're with your best friend, when you're with your kids? Do you pay attention to what the triggers are, okay? Pay attention to how you're feeling in the moment. The days that you're feeling like spending something, pause and examine yourself. How am I feeling right now? Am I sad? Am I mad? Am I bored? Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I envious? Am I watching people on social media and feeling like I'm left out? Am I fearful? Am I anxious? Am I worried that this deal is going to go away and I'll never see it again? Like, pay attention to your emotion and write it down. Okay. Even if you went through with the transaction, I still want you to be writing down what's happening. Okay. Did somebody just call me? Did somebody just say something to me? Like, what was happening? Because I want you to start to notice the patterns, your spending patterns. Okay. Who were you with? Like, there are some friends that I know when I'm with, I spend way more money on food than I spend when I'm with other people. I need to know who those people are that make me violate my food budget just by their mere presence. What made you think of buying? Was it a commercial? Was it an ad? Was it something that broke? Was it just a random idea in your mind? Like, start to write down these patterns that are coming up for you. Okay. New guys who are just joining me, I'm ADHD Money Coach B. I talk about mental health as it relates to your money. I work with the 4 times exceptional gifted Black women with ADHD and helping them shift from feeling financially frustrated to feeling financially unfuckwittable. If you're sitting in this room thinking, I don't have ADHD, do I belong here? Absolutely. Yes, you do. We call you budgeting besties in here. But if you do have ADHD, we call you budgeting baddies in here. And it's spelled just like my name, BADHDIES. You're a baddie, okay? And welcome on in. We're covering the 12 days of financial self-care. We are on day 7. If you have been joining us, every single day I've given you homework assignments to help you put systems in place and ideas into place that go into the new year a lot less stressed financially. Ideally, if you have been following me all along, you have put some boundaries into place. You have opened up an account and created your financial cushion plan, your financial peace plan. You've even made your first deposit. You have taken some time to acknowledge some of the ways that you have been hard on yourself and have forgiven yourself. We've done a lot of little actionable things throughout this challenge. And today we're talking about taking a spending detox so you can be aware of your spending habits, your spending triggers, your spending temptations, to reset your spending habits, to reset other people's expectations of you, to enjoy the things that you already have, and to obviously save some money. Whew, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Okay, so let's talk about handling challenges, because you are going to have challenges that you're going to bump up against as you're trying to do this. First thing that we want to talk about is handling other people's expectations of you. I want you to communicate your goals to them. I want you to suggest free alternatives. I can't do this, but I can do this. This would take me off of my budget for the week, but I'd like to do this with you. Would this work? I can't do this, but what I can do is, right, stand firm in your choices. Be unapologetic. You can't give from an empty tank, emotionally, mentally, or financially. So everybody will be okay. Okay. This was a no spend birthday year for me. I told everybody, listen, my daughter was the only person I took her out of the country for her birthday. Everybody else, I know this was like a milestone year. Me and all my friends turned 40 and everybody had big birthdays. I'll see y'all at the 50. I don't know what to tell y'all, but no, I'm not doing it. It's important to me that I honor my financial goals for this year. And so it's not something I can do. And I communicated early. I said in December of the previous year, FYI, the best birthday, Christmas gift you can give me is not set an obligation for me to be A, B, and C. Okay. I appreciate y'all in advance for giving me permission to decline the invite this year. And my friends were okay with it. I ain't lose no friends. Okay. Number 2 for handling challenges, emotional urges. Again, check your trigger notes. Figure out alternatives to satisfy those triggers. So like I said before, when I was bored, I used to go to thrifting, and then I had to figure out what are some alternatives that I could do that I would enjoy just as much. They don't cost me anything. So create a plan in advance for how you'll deal with that emotion. So if you tend to spend when you're angry or when you're sad or when you're anxious or whatever, you need to have a plan in place. What are you going to do? Are you going to call a friend? Are you going to share it with somebody else? Are you going to come in on one of my posts and comment and say, Coach B, I'm struggling today. Talk me off a ledge, right? What's your plan of action? Create a plan for when you're triggered. You're going to use your joy list, right, that we talked about earlier. And you're going to remember your why. Why are we doing this? Why are you doing this 12 days of financial self-care? I think it's because you wanted to go into the year with a lot less stress and a lot more peace. But what are your other whys? What is the reason why you want to make money, save money, get out of debt? What is the core of what you want to be feeling? If you are feeling like you're drowning and you're suffocating, you just don't want to feel like that no more. Remember that feeling when you're thinking about swiping. Do you want to drown or not? I don't know if you guys are familiar with Eric Thomas, but he always tells a story about until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, you'll never be successful. Whoo, the very first time I ever heard that message, I remember I was working at this job and I worked there for a really long time. It was a pretty decent job, but I really wanted to get out. And up until that point, I could get any job I wanted. Like if I applied for a job, I was gonna get an interview, I was gonna get a job. But this was like post-economic crisis where a lot of people had lost their job, and it was a lot, like the marketplace was flooded with people who were unemployed, like highly educated, highly skilled, and now I'm competing against a ton of people in the marketplace who are unemployed. And I was having a hard time landing even an interview. Much less, like I felt like if I could get the interview, I could have probably got the job, but I was struggling to even get an interview. And I remember having a moment thinking to myself, oh my God, what if I'm trapped here for the rest of my life? Like, what if I'm trapped at this job? And I started to have like a panic attack. Like I felt like it was a plastic bag over my head and I couldn't breathe. And I was just freaking out. Like, what am I doing? I heard him say that. And I woke up, like I was listening to it while I was laying in the bed, and I popped out of my bed and I understood what he meant. And when you are desperate to breathe, if you guys have never heard it, go on YouTube and look up Eric. How did I forget his name? ADHD brain. Eric Thomas. Look up Eric Thomas. Until you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and listen to him tell this story about this guy holding this other guy's head underwater and helping him to understand, like, when you were underwater, what were you thinking about? You weren't thinking about, oh, this person, what they're going to say, until you weren't thinking about anything. All of the obstacles we put in our way. If I apply for the job, they're going to say this, that negative talk you have in your head that keeps you from taking action. All of that stuff suddenly drowns out. If you're underwater and you can't breathe, all you're thinking is, I just want to take a breath. You are willing to fight, claw, slap, punch, whatever, to get your head up out of that water. And that's how you have to be about this. You have to want it this bad and say, man, I really don't ever want another year to look or feel like this again. And I'm willing to do whatever I got to do. I'm willing to apply. I'm willing to sacrifice. I don't care. I don't want to feel like this no more. I don't care what y'all think about what I'm doing. I don't care what y'all think about my journey. I'm not interested in it. I know that I can't feel like this ever again, right? You got to want it that bad. Okay. So I need you to check into your why when you're feeling it, when you're trying to handle emotional challenges, of trying to spend when you know you don't want to be spending. The next thing for handling challenges is necessary expenses. Plan around the rest of your days, batch essential purchases, and keep receipts for awareness. Receipts are critical. It helps you be able to see the difference. One of the things that I did in the money challenge workbook, and it's also in the free download, if you go download the no spend chart, is I have a space for you to write down how much you spent before the challenge. So you're going to look at like a previous month and write down how much you typically spent eating out and entertainment, how much you typically spent on groceries, how much you spent on transportation and gas. And I know you might be thinking like that's not going to change, but if you stay in the house on purpose, you should have a lower gas bill because we ain't outside riding all over town. And how much you spent on other stuff. I put everything else in that lump category. And I'm not talking about bills. So what you should be doing is your income minus your fixed bills. And then everything else should be broken into one of these 4 categories. I'll read them again because if you don't have the chart, I still want you to do it. I told you during this month, I'm giving you all the tea for free. So you don't have to buy to participate. Your 4 categories after your fixed bills are eating out, entertainment, groceries and toiletries, transportation and gas, and other random stuff. That's literally the catch-all for everything else. That's your variable expenses. So you're going to figure that out. Look at the previous month and see what you previously spent. If you're doing this for a week, look at the previous week and see what you spent. And then do the challenge. Keep your receipts for each category. Was this grocery? Was this gas? Was this eating out? To see the difference. The difference between what you usually spend and what you actually spent during the challenge, that's what you saved. That's what you can contribute to something like the month ahead fund. That's what you can contribute to getting out of the hole. That's what you can contribute to your Christmas fund for next year, or birthday fund, or travel fund, or whatever it is that you're trying to do fund. Okay. That's your win. That's what you can put in your guilt-free whatever. Like if you just want to be able to do something more meaningful, like a lot of times we splurge on meaningless things because we feel like we can't afford the thing we really want. So we'll be like, I'll blow money on lipstick, whatever, music, some random trinket from Temu, but what I really want to do is go on vacation. So if I feel like I can't afford to ever go on vacation, I'll settle for a manicure or whatever, right? That's what we do. In fact, the economy, they always can tell from the economy if the economy is going up or down based on the sale of cosmetics. Whenever lipstick sales go up, it's called like the lipstick tax or something like that. Whenever lipstick sales go up, manicures, things like that, they know that we are nearing a depression, because what people do when they're struggling financially is they spend more on cosmetics because they can't spend as much on the big ticket items like travel. So that's how they're kind of like aware of how people are feeling emotionally as far as like the economy is gone. So we tend to sacrifice the big things for the little things, and we want to start not giving up, but maybe pausing on some of the small things so that we can have more of the things we genuinely care about. Okay, so keep your receipts. Okay. Whew. So here's how I want you to make this point of rest. We're calling a no spend day a day of rest. Okay. So it's not restrictive. You're not harming, you're not, I don't want you to have like a negative attachment to this, right? This is a day you're resting. Okay. Here's how you will make the most of it. Track what you don't spend. I wrote down inside of, actually, again, this, I'm telling you, inside of the challenge, there is a page in here. It's a page in here. Oh, it might be in the full chart online. There's a page where you would write down every time you wanted to buy something, but you didn't, right? Anytime you put something in a cart or you thought about buying something, but then you didn't, you wrote it down. Or let's say you was at the grocery store and you had a bunch of stuff in your cart and you put like 4 things back or 2 things back or 1 thing back. You write down what it was and how much you would have spent. At the end of the challenge, adding up how much you almost bought is powerful because it allows you to see how much your impulsivity cost you at times. When you don't monitor your impulsivity and you just buy it because you thought about it or because you were there and you wanted it, you just buy it and you never really pay attention to it. But if you total that sucker up and see how much money you would have spent, it will blow your mind because that much money you have saved for something else. So that's something that you can do. The next thing, again, is noticing patterns. What do you find yourself wanting to spend on the most? Is it food? Is it luxury? Is it learning material? For me, I knew during a no spend month, the hardest thing for me to not spend on is learning stuff. Like I'm addicted to learning. So I'm gonna want to take a course, buy a book, something like that. That was the hard thing for me. And literally day one, I saw something and I was like, oh, I want to enroll in this, right? No, finish the books you already have, right? So you need to figure out like where are your patterns of things that you keep wanting to, you see yourself like pulled to, lulled to. What captures your attention? Another thing that captures my attention are gadgets. I love gadgets, especially kitchen gadgets, right? So I have to pay attention to myself so that I can avoid the temptation. Another thing, notice what substitutes work for you. That could be substitutes in activities or substitutes in ingredients if we're talking about food. Notice patterns of which days are the easiest and which days are the hardest for you to spend with. For some people, the weekdays are the easiest because they're at work all day anyway. But for other people, the weekdays are the hardest because they are out and about and they're tired and they don't feel like cooking. And so eating out is convenient for them. So for everyone, it's going to be different. For some people, the mornings are the easiest because they running late for work anyway. They don't got time to stop. For other people, it's the hardest because they are definitely getting their Starbucks coffee point blank period. And it just is. So you need to figure out what your patterns are. And lastly, I want you to celebrate your wins. Every successful rest period, whether it's a day, a week, a month, and if you ball all the way out and do a year, I mean, first of all, tell me about it. I want to know how that went for you. But if you go that far, celebrate it. If you manage to go, if you're like, I struggle to buy stuff a couple times a day, and you manage to go half a day without throwing something in your Temu cart or your TikTok shop cart, like, celebrate yourself. Celebrate the new awareness that you've gained about yourself. Even if you haven't overcome a temptation or a trigger yet, celebrate the fact that you're aware that it exists. You can't change what you don't know. You can't change if you don't know what's happening. Okay. Celebrate the growth in your funds, the amount of money that you have saved. I like doing this challenge with cash because I get to, like, at the end of every week, whatever is like left over, I get to throw into, like, I'm still giving myself the amount of money I would normally give for a regular month. If I was doing a no spend month and I was giving myself, $200 a week for gas, groceries, whatever, I still do the no spend month, and whatever I don't spend physically goes into a bank. And it's easy for me to see what I saved. Whereas not doing that, I might still be saving it, but I don't get to see, like, the physical representation of how much I didn't spend this month. So it's really nice. Your homework for tonight, I always give y'all a homework assignment. Your homework is to pick your rest schedule, to make your joy list, and set up a trigger tracker. This week, I want you to try one day of rest. Just one. I want you to note what your urges were. Like, what did you feel like you had to have? Because that might be a sign of something you need to have in your home to prepare you for success. So for me, I knew when I did my no spend challenge, I needed to make sure I had some Pepsi in house. I need to make sure I had, like, there was a couple of things that I felt like if I didn't have at least a little bit of it, I'm going to be tempted to go out to the store to get it if I could not overcome that urge. And then I told you, once you go into the store, it's a trap. You're going to come out with something you didn't come for. So I need to know what are some of those things that I feel like I need to have in order to be successful in this challenge. And for me, that was some carbonated sodas and some Pepsi. Like, sometimes I just want the damn Pepsi. Use what you have. Use up what you have. Share your journey. Y'all, if you guys do this challenge, can y'all do me a favor and can you tag me? Can you tag me in a post? I want to know. I want to celebrate you. I want to hype you up. I want to see how you do. I'm at Young Rich Rooted everywhere. I think on TikTok, if you put B, the budgeting baddie, it comes up too. I really don't know how you have to tag me on TikTok's a little confusing for me, but I'm Young Rich Rooted everywhere, even though on TikTok you see my name as B, the budgeting baddie. Yeah, tag me in your wins. That is it. That is it for tonight, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope you're feeling empowered. I hope you feel encouraged and inspired to do a no spend day, week, month, year, whatever it is. I hope you give yourself a chance to reset. I hope you reset other people's expectations because you don't owe nobody nothing. Okay. You owe yourself first. And I hope you guys come back tomorrow for day 8 of the 12 days of financial self-care. We are getting close to the finish line, y'all. I'm excited. Tika said, I will definitely do one day of rest. Yay! I'm so proud of you. Woo! I'm proud of you. Let me know how that goes too. Let me know how that goes. That's it. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for you commenting. Thank you for sharing, hearting, liking the live. It means a lot to me. I hear messages like, so it's so funny because when I'm on here, I think like I don't really know who's really paying attention and who, there are lots of people who watch but never actually comment. And so I think like, maybe it's not helpful. And then I will get a sidebar phone call or text message that's like, I've been doing the work. I've been paying attention. Can you please keep doing it? It's been really helpful. Those little side notes mean a lot to me. They encourage me to keep going and sharing this advice. So thank you guys who take the time to show up. Thank you guys who take the time to engage with me. Thank you guys who are doing the work. Thank you for sharing your journey with me and being vulnerable. It's not easy to admit how you feel, how you think, and what you're doing with your money every single day. But every day that you do, you make it easier for someone else to do it. So I appreciate you partnering with me and changing people's life financially. And that's it. Until tomorrow. Bye, guys.